Right off the gate, I think Miresi Invisible Future's biggest strength is the fact that it's not AAA big budget. And I know that might sound weird, but I also think that makes a stronger case for it being more on the gooner side. And I think a perfect example of that would be Chasing Kaleidorider, another gooner game that's out. And I've seen, like, even on the main channel, their very first trailer had like 1 million views. Everyone and their mom was like doing a sponsored video on it and everything. But when I really looked at the nitty gritty, and not to say Kaleidorider is bad, but I think there are interesting points to take into account when you look at the bigger budget. If you imagine Genshin Impact, which completely changed the gacha landscape, it's a very casual, friendly game in a sense. It's pretty predatory in terms of monetization, but when you have a higher budget, you expect a higher return on investment and also a broader audience. So while I do think even if Chasing Kaleidorider is more quote-unquote goonery, I don't think they're going to go anywhere near the same extent as, say, Miresi can, where a lot of people, as we know, 2 videos I talked about how the rating for Miresi is going to be 15 plus. That may well change, like how Brown Death 2 changed and like that. But they're able to do that because, well, not only Korea, that the Smilegate, the publishers are from, but also Control 9, but it's also just not as much, I guess, budgetary pressure. That's not to say they don't have a high budget. Smilegate has made high quality games like Epic 7 and Chaos Zero Nightmare, but they're not massive blockbusters, because even if we take a look at some Chasing Kaleido gameplay, or not gameplay, the animation, this is super high quality. Like, it looks good, but this is expensive, and you can't capture a really niche subset of players or just only rely on them if you're doing something super high budget like this. It just most likely wouldn't pay, or at least the investors of the company wouldn't go for it. Another thing is the gooner aspects. I talked about how Miresi it's definitely a gooner game. Let's not get that mistaken. Even the very first video I made where I talked about the dev interviews in Korean, they doubled down that yes, this is a female-only playable cast.
That's right. We only play female characters. Oh.
So they had that strong game system in the core from the beginning, which is awesome. But the way they also go about it too. Something I found really shocking was that in Chasing Kaleidorider, for example, there's literally a ranking system for the dating.
Why?
I've never seen anything like this in my life, and I was actually shocked when I saw it. I was like, wait, what? Is that not like, I've never been like the biggest, like, don't get me wrong, I don't mind some biddies in my games, but I've never seen them ranking on the dating. That just feels very weird. It almost breaks immersion. And even, again, rash bracket on Chasing Kaleidorider, since I'm already doing it now, the systems Chasing Kaleidorider has to do to be able to afford that. If we go into Chasing Kaleido right here, the gameplay, you can see, yeah, wow, they got this character, Rookie, as it says, with big milkers. And it's like, all right, that's dope. And then it's like, all right, she looks pretty cool. But it's like, all right, you have ultimate, special, normal. What else is there? Oh, what is that? Is that artifact system in this game? Now, Miresi may very well have it as well, since it's, you know, more and more games are doing it. But it's just the more you have that higher budget and that higher rate of return that needs to be needed, it's just more and more its expectation. It needs to be a broader audience and all that. And again, I do want to preface, I should have prefaced it in the video, I probably have text, that a lot of this is just speculation and my personal thoughts. I'm not saying anything is fact, but even the fact that they have weapon banners. The characters in Chasing Kaleidorider are 100% after 80 pity, but the weapon banners are 50-50. Will Miresi have weapon banners? I don't know. There's artifact style systems. There's a dating leaderboard. It just feels, I'll be completely open here, I never really liked Chasing Kaleidorider. Like, I was like, all right, Miresi, this game caught my attention. This looks exciting. And I looked at Chasing Kaleidorider again, not to like harp on it, but I'm harping on it, so I'm gonna keep on harping on it. It didn't really catch my eye. The gameplay looks all right. It doesn't look like there has as much depth as Miresi, but mostly, like, it just looks too sanitized, too clean, too safe, too corporate, if that makes sense. Like, people are saying it's, like, gooner, but how gooner can you really be if you have, like, again, the art style doesn't look bad, and this isn't to, like, harp. Like, it looks really good, the animation, but if you threw this character into, like, NTE, Genshin, Wuwa, I would believe you and say, all right, I could see this character being in there. It looks very like similar to like the high quality anime, semi-realistic art style. And I know people were harping on it, but like, yes, the Miresi 3D models obviously aren't perfect. But I feel like having that smaller team and just a more curated vision, I could feel the passion. That's even why I love discussing Miresi in these videos. I was like, all right, holy shit. The Milkers, I see it. The vision, I see it. Hyula, the head artist himself, you could see the way he crafts these said characters. Like, shit. The waifu is moving. Like, damn, this bitch is crazy. And damn. Yeah, but rewind selector. Shit. No, but like, even like the dating system, I'll probably make a separate video on this, but when I watched, again, all of the channels I've used for gameplay will be in the description. But an interesting video that stuck out to me was the video by Miresi, where she took a first look at it, and it's like, all right, there's a dating leaderboard, already kind of weird. But if we look at the dating, and again, I'm harping on again, it's just talking in front of I mean, this is like their biggest feature is the gooning aspects, and it's like the Nikkei bond systems, except there's a scoreboard, and it just keeps on going on and on. It's like, all right, I read. It's not voice acted, granted, it's a CBT. And I'm not saying Miresi won't have similar functions or any gacha game that does it is bad. It's just, I feel like it's going to be much more sanitized. Compare that to, like, say, Miresi, where they have the hub system, and they're like, all right, there's different events you could do with the characters. That seems interesting to me, because it seemed like even though the devs had a smaller budget, they had to work more creatively. They had to work more stylistically. Well, Kaleidorider, because it has such a big budget, I just feel like it's more constrained in the way that they do things. And, like, I really cannot stop. Like, I just found that out today, that they're doing I already wasn't really interested in the game, but I have never seen that in my life, a leaderboard for a dating system. What the hell? That's just weird. But also, the fact that these are Korean devs, and I know for, you got games like Brown Dust 2, where censorship isn't really an issue in Korea. Now, they have their own, like, controversies with, like, the pink symbol, but that's, like, rooted in more of their history, and, like, there's political stance, which I'm just not gonna touch on. But yeah, I mean, this video is not too short. It is yappy as always, because these videos are just me yappy. But I just feel really, I hate when I say goddamn, stop saying sorry, that was, I don't know why I did that. I mean, I do know why. I'm pissed, but fuck it, I'm just gonna let this play. But my core point with that is, Kaleidorider, Chasing Kaleidorider, it looks cool. And even for the very first video they put out, I saw that it had like 1 million views. It has all this hype. Pridewin has it on the front page. Not on the front page, but in the upcoming games, probably going to be talked about. But Miresi, I don't see in sight. No, granted, it's a smaller scale, but it's like when you have this big budget and all that, and I'm not really trying to harp on Kaleidorider and saying it's a bad game because it has a higher budget. I just feel that a lot of my concerns I would otherwise have for Miresi haven't really been haven't really been showcased the same way that they have been in Chasing Kaleidorider. Even the way that Miresi has been going about things. When Chasing Kaleidorider was revealed, it revealed a pretty polished CBT that everyone and their mother reacted to, or, they got a sponsored video saying this is the best game ever, to a gameplay trailer that was like 7 minutes. And nothing against that, and it's fair to make those points if, get that money. But Miresi, I actually like the way they've gone about it, where they did show us a very rough demo. It's been 3 demos at the TGS 2025, the AGF 2025, and the most recent Anime Expo in LA 2026, and then they still have the upcoming Tokyo Games Show, the TGS 2026 this year, which is going to be this upcoming September, with this video being recorded in July now. So it shows the devs, yes, they do have a smaller budget, but I feel like they also have a more honed in vision, and they don't have to worry about that vision getting shafted or shifted because of, having to make money. Of course, all game companies have to make money. Even I talked in the subreddit about how they may very well change to an 18 plus after the 15 plus rating. It's completely possible. And hey, I wouldn't mind it, because as a guy, who doesn't love more titties, give me more of that T-area action. I ain't mad. But yeah, that's my main point with it. And I always say I'm not going to yap, and then I somehow yap. I really like the vision that Miresi devs seem to have, and I feel like comparing and contrasting, even though we talk about the 3D models look this way and that way, those are all fair points, and they're taking our feedback to improve the game. Even how they changed Ende's model and improved it. Even how they improved the gameplay flow. That shows me that's like, all right, they have their strong vision that they're sticking to, but they're also open, as opposed to something that's just very flat. And granted, Chasing Kaleidorider obviously had like back-end testing, you know, like closed alpha testing. I'm not saying the game hasn't been tested. I just feel that this game, Miresi being smaller, is also more intimate and focused in a way. But I know some people are going to disagree, but I'm open to that. There's just some thoughts. God, I can't speak. Some thoughts that I wanted to share, and I'm open to whatever you guys think in the comments or discussion. But yeah, that's gonna be it for me. Thank you guys for watching, boys. Let me know what you think. Subscribe if you want to. Don't sub if you don't want to. If you hate me, hey, let me know. And yeah, deuces, boys.